there is something happening in the sky tonight that touches almost every Sagittarius on the planet, and it is not subtle. A rare full moon is peeking directly across from your sign, and if you have felt like the ground under your relationships has been shifting for days, you are about to understand exactly why. You are an archer. You aim forward, and for the last little while, something in the sky has been pulling your bowstring tighter than usual. Today, on July 30th, the moon reaches fullness in Aquarius, and it is doing this in the part of your chart that governs partnership, connection, the people you let close. This is the only Aquarius full moon of 2026, which matters more than it sounds, because full moons in this sign do not just ask you to feel your feelings, they ask you to question your commitments, not destroy them, question them. At the exact same time, something else is happening that changes the entire emotional texture of this day. The Sun and Jupiter are meeting in a rare, exact alignment, an event some astrologers call the Day of Miracles. This conjunction is lighting up your ninth house, which happens to be Sagittarius's natural home turf. Travel, higher learning, publishing, teaching, expansion, belief itself. So while the moon is asking you to look hard at your closest bonds, the Sun and Jupiter are simultaneously flinging the door of your future wide open. You are being stretched in two directions at once, inward and outward, and that tension is the real story of your day. Take a breath here, because this part matters. You may have noticed that the last few days have felt unusually charged, like decisions were forming before you had consciously made them. That is this Sun-Jupiter energy arriving early. It rewards a real first step, not a vague intention, confirming a date, sending the message, outlining the pitch. This is the energy that turns optimism into forward motion. Meanwhile, in Vedic astrology, which reads the sky through a different zodiac entirely, today's moon is placed in Capricorn, and the emphasis shifts toward home rather than horizon. This tradition suggests today favors a slower, quieter kind of connection, specifically with family. You may feel a pull to appreciate the people who've supported you quietly, unglamorously, for years. Vedic astrologers watching this transit often note that the early to mid-afternoon carries a gentler, more auspicious quality for those conversations. Here is where two very different traditions describe the same day from opposite angles. The Western full moon says, pair off, negotiate the terms, and see if a new bond can hold. The Vedic moon says, sit at your own table and remember who already loves you. Neither is wrong. Together they suggest today's real lesson: connection matters everywhere, whether it is brand new or decades old. If you are currently untangling an old relationship pattern, or wondering whether a partnership, romantic, creative, even professional, still fits who you are becoming, this Aquarius full moon is unusually direct about it. It illuminates your third house of local connection and communication, meaning a conversation that starts almost casually could unfold into something more significant over the coming 2 weeks. This is not a one-day event. The energy has room to breathe. Here is what almost every horoscope will skip past. This full moon does not arrive alone in the yearly picture. It opens a wider window, stretching until next July, where relationships across the board are more likely to shift decisively, one way or the other. Some will accelerate toward commitment. Others will finally end what has been quietly over for a while. Astrologers tracking this pattern are already flagging the days around July 20th as a smaller peak within that longer window, worth watching if you are in the middle of a relationship decision. If you are single, this is a moment where an unexpected, mentally stimulating connection has slightly higher odds of showing up, someone who challenges your thinking rather than just your pulse. If you are partnered, old patterns you have outgrown may surface for renegotiation, not necessarily conflict, but recalibration. The relationship that survives this window tends to be the one both people are willing to update, not defend. Career carries its own version of this same expansive current. With Jupiter and the Sun activating your house of expansion, the coming weeks favor visibility, teaching, publishing, or travel connected to work. If there is a pitch you have been sitting on, a course you have wanted to outline, or a trip that could open professional doors, current transits suggest this window rewards the person who moves first, rather than the person who waits for certainty. And here is the good part they do not usually mention. You do not need the whole plan figured out. You need one real, concrete action today, not someday. That expansive energy naturally touches money too, though more gently. Growth-oriented transits, like this one, often correspond with new financial opportunities appearing through exactly the same channels: teaching, media, travel, or expanding your existing skill set outward. It is not a lucky lottery kind of day. It is closer to a doors quietly opening kind of day, and the person who notices the door tends to be the person who has been paying attention. Now here is the detail that ties this entire day together, the one worth remembering. Tay's sky is asking Sagittarius to hold two truths simultaneously, expand outward, while also tending what is close to home, and most people will experience this as confusing tension rather than recognize it as the actual gift. The archer who can do both at once, reach for the horizon while still setting the table for family, is the one who benefits most from this particular alignment. That is rare. Most days ask you to choose one direction. Today does not. This dual pull shows up in your body too. Full moons, in general, tend to correspond with restlessness, and this one may leave you craving movement, spontaneity, something outside your normal rhythm. Many Sagittarians report feeling a genuine urge to break routine around lunar peaks like this one, and that instinct is worth honoring in small ways: a new route home, an unplanned conversation, rather than ignoring it until it turns into scattered energy. Staying physically active today, even briefly, tends to help steady the emotional intensity this full moon carries. Some Vedic practitioners might additionally suggest Saturn-related practices, certain mantras or specific gemstones, for individuals whose birth charts support them, though this is never universal advice. Genuine gemstone work in that tradition requires a full personal chart reading, not a blanket recommendation for an entire sign. Bring that same energy home tonight, because the people closest to you may be more receptive than usual. The Vedic placement we mentioned earlier favors exactly this: a real conversation, a shared meal, a moment of simply saying thank you to someone who has supported you quietly. You will not always have this particular window with the people around you, so if something in you is nudging toward gratitude today, it is worth acting on rather than postponing. If travel crosses your mind in the next few days, even briefly, current transits suggest it is worth taking seriously rather than dismissing as a passing thought. This is also a naturally reflective moment, less about grand spiritual gestures and more about noticing where your beliefs have quietly expanded this year without you fully registering it. For anyone collecting today's small details, yellow carries a favorable association today, and the early to mid-afternoon hours are generally considered a gentler window for important conversations. So if you are taking one thing from today, let it be this: say yes to the opportunity that requires a real first step, not just a hopeful feeling. Have the honest conversation with someone close, rather than the version you rehearse in your head. Move your body if restlessness shows up. Do not fight it. And notice, really notice, when a door opens that was not there last week. Today does not ask you to choose between your future and your roots. It asks you to hold both, and for a Sagittarius willing to do that, this is one of the more generous skies you will get this year. If this resonated, you know where to find more of these conversations.